Hello, and how are you doing today? This is McCarthy, aka the Loan Guy, aka the Mortgage Goat. I am the mortgage broker for Scepter Mortgage. How are you doing today? Let me just start off by saying I truly love my life. Why? Because I get to do fun things like start podcasts with my very good friend, the one, the only Dr. Sharon Barnes. And we started a new podcast called Straight Talk with McCarthy and Dr. Sharon Barnes, where we're going to go over many things, including real estate investment, mortgage financing, business development, and anything that we can think of off the top of our heads. And this is our very first video. And I'm putting it back out again because it's talking about some important things for the wildfires that occurred a few months ago in California. Very good information. I want to make sure you have it. So please tune in, stay tuned for this podcast, okay? And before we get started, please like, subscribe, because it goes a long way to put this information out in other people's hands just like yourself. And on top of that, I'm going to just say this and preface it. Normally we have two main cameras, and sometimes we use like a third little cell phone camera just for our own behind the scenes things. However, one of our cameras malfunctioned and did not record for the first 16 minutes. Normally I would take it out, but the information was so good, I wanted to make sure we left it in there. So for 16 minutes, you're going to go back and forth between one main camera and a cell phone camera, so the quality is not going to be as good, but the information is great. Please stay tuned. If you want to skip forward for 16 minutes, we have both good cameras, go right ahead. But here we go, the inaugural video for Straight Talk with host T.R. McCarthy and Dr. Sharon Barnes. Welcome to Straight Talk with T.R. McCarthy and Dr. Sharon Barnes. This is our inaugural video. What? What are you laughing at?
Inaugural. Great word.
Inaugural video.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Yes, it is. Like that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Welcome to Straight Talk with T.R. McCarthy and Dr. Sharon Barnes, and welcome to our inaugural video. Straight Talk. It's a passion project. Dr. Sharon Barnes and I have been strategic partners for well over half a decade. We've done multiple video shoots, starting with me doing an interview on her radio podcast, which was a phenomenal thing. And from there, we always said we need to do a podcast together. And over the years, we've went back and forth. However, I got a call the other day, and she says, if you're going to do this, we got to do it now. And I agreed with her. And I said, let it happen. And so let's talk about it for a quick second. Straight Talk. We talk about business development, entrepreneurial training, real estate investment and purchase and acquisition, mortgage financing, and the one that Dr. Sharon Barnes loves the most, community outreach. Dr. Barnes.
Yes, sir.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Tiara, for this inaugural kickoff here. I'm really excited about it, and I know we've done a lot of things over the years.
Absolutely.
And both being professionals involved in the real estate industry, sometimes we've just kind of limited, our conversations, our interviews, and that, to that industry niche. But right now, we know our community needs a lot more. And we know that when serving our clients, we cross different aspects. They may be buying a house, but we have to deal with their business finances because they're self-employed, they're an entrepreneur, that type of thing. We both do commercial real estate. We help them with development. And my passion project for the last more than 5 years has been helping them with accessory dwelling units. and just really excited to be able to come in and share some of our experiences and to hit some of those needs and pain points that we've realized our client and community needs. Sometimes they don't even know that we can provide them those that assistance or direct them in the right place. So, we have kind of a holistic approach, I guess I can say.
Holistic approach. I love it.
To life, to building wealth based on real estate, based on entrepreneurship, building up a business. And we've come through, large companies. We've successfully run our own business and just re-strategizing depending on what the market's doing, what the political climate is, what the new rules are. And so I just think that having this type of straight talk, we can just come in and say, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is some of the issues. Maybe you can identify with this family. Maybe you can, you've had those concerns too. And we can address that and give them resources to come to. If it's not, within our we have a large network across many different industries that we can help. And just help the community and it all come back. It's just very circular.
Well, I agree with everything you said. I'm still on the holistic approach. Holistic VIP concierge service that you and I give our clients. And this is something that I've been wanting to do with you for a long time.
Yeah, we've
So,
been talking about it, and that word I hadn't really thought of it before. I just said it here, the holistic, because a lot of times the people think I just want to finance my house. But when you're putting together a loan package and when you're looking to do that, you have to go over all your financials, your cash flow, your obligations, your kids' school, the extracurricular. I mean, all this comes into play. And so you have to take that holistic approach. And as I tell a lot of clients, especially as I'm dealing with in the real estate as a realtor and as a real estate consultant, it's like you have to take everything into consideration. We have to look at not only your goals, but how you're going to manage it. And when it comes, say, to the accessory dwelling units, and talking with families, it's like to really leverage it and to benefit from it, you have to teach it, you have to treat it like a business, and our family, our unit is kind of business, but different lenders, different real estate professionals, they handle things differently. And I think we have a unique quality to just be real, be relatable, and listen and actually try to direct them and help them achieve their goals. And they can't always find that other places.
well, that's interesting that you say that. And I always say I'm a straight shooter. I tell my clients I'm a straight shooter. I've been doing this for a long time. And if I tell you it can be done, it can be done. If I say at this moment it can be done, then that's what it is. I'm not going to string you along. However, many people, when they come to professionals like us, who's been in the business for a very long time, who have multiple streams of knowledge, not just in real estate and mortgages.
Right.
You, for instance, law degree, you're doctorate of law. I have sales experience. I have law enforcement experience. Was an investigator, was a trainer. All of these different things that I bring to the table. You ever beeping?
I'll try to turn it off.
It's all right. But a lot of times, our clients, when they come to professionals like us, they still want to go to the big company that's not going to give them as much information as we do. It's not going to walk them and take them by hand and say, let me tell you the steps. This is why we're doing this. So that this is the path that you're going to walk on. That's different than your cousin's path. That's different than your friend at work's path. Different than your boss or your mother or your uncle who's purchased a house or who just passed away. We're going to give you the complete, as you said, holistic, synergistic approach and put you in contact with the people that you're going to need along this transaction, whether it's going to be a contractor, whether it's going to be an appraiser, whether it's going to be an engineer. We guide you along that way so that every step of the way is easy. Why do you think people, when they come across that, they then say, I'm going to go over here, even though they know they're not going to get that type of service?
Well, I'm sitting up here thinking about that because in a lot of we mentioned sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the sales industry, a lot of times we're taught to fill our pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, get the prospect, turn them into a lead, and get them in the pipeline. We know sales is a numbers game. When you go to those bigger companies and they are following that type of protocol, they give you what appears what you want. They give you that pre qualification letter. And you, as a consumer or as a buyer, don't understand the difference between the pre qualification and the pre approval. And then you call and you say, "Hey, I'm pre-qualified and I want to start seeing these homes at 750,000, right? And we want to go out." But do you ever wonder why real estate and realtors we have to deal with things falling out of escrow after 45 days, at 60 days? I mean, I have had my own nightmares with with it falling out of escrow the day before it's supposed to close. Okay? And that is because they dangle a little carrot, they show you like you're a diamond ready to go, and you go and get your heart set on this property. Everybody's working to help you achieve it. And then when they start digging into the package and they start getting all your documentation and they start going to this unseen entity in the back room somewhere called the underwriter, and the underwriter keeps coming with issues, and no one you can talk to can further explain why the underwriter is having these type of issues this far down the road, okay? Then you can't get the true qualification. You can't get approved for that loan. And it can come down, and I've had deals where it's down to the wire, and I'm asking the realtor who represents the buyer, like, okay, your client can't close, some overlay or some qualification you have it, but your lender can't do it. Can you give me permission to communicate with your buyer to give them another option, to give them a second opinion? Because I have somebody that I think might be able to get them qualified. Okay, and sometimes it's yes, and sometimes they might stand in the way and say no, and the deal just falls out. But everything is not the same. Now, to the question, and I know you're proactive, okay, and it really boggles me sometimes of why people are not more appreciative of that, because and you tell them very clearly, I want to do everything up front, okay. I need to know, because I know it's going to come up, my experience with underwriters, with this process, with this loan, I know what they're going to ask for. I want to make sure that if I tell you that you are qualified, that we can do it, that we deal with everything proactively up front. And therefore, the chances of it falling out of escrow at the ninth hour after 30, 40 days is almost nil, as long as circumstances doesn't change with your employment. They don't appreciate that. They rather get that carrot, run with it, get this house, get their heart all set on something that they might not be able to achieve, rather than putting in the difficult work and the hard work up front to give you everything you need so that your guidance and your approvals are more solid and more trust that I can really make this house my home than someone else. And I don't know. It's kind of the human nature. And when we say earlier, talked about being holistic, when people come in and they start looking for a house, or even if they're selling a home, they kind of capsulize it. It's like, this is something I want to do. This is not going to impact my life. I just want to put a house on the market and you sell it. Okay? I just want to look for a house and I just want to buy it, but everything else in my life is going to be the same. And it's not. This is a major project, and it impacts your time, your income, your focus, and your family. Okay? Everybody has to, and I don't think I don't think that the average buyer, especially first time buyer, why we do so much specialty with first time buyers, I don't think they necessarily understand everything that goes into the project.
Well, I personally agree with that. as you know, I am an underwriter by profession.
Well, yeah,
And
that's a plus, though. I
it's
mean,
a
not
great
only
plus.
have you been one, but you've also trained. I mean, there's not. I think in my years, more than 20 years, probably in dealing with real estate and commercial investors and everything, I've only personally met one underwriter. And then to meet you who have gone, through that path. But like I said, that's why they come as unseen. I don't even think they identify themselves in public where they actually do it.
Most underwriters don't like being on the phone. I can
Yeah.
tell you that.
Right.
But the fact that I tell these people, I'm like, listen, this is what I do. Okay,
Right.
I've done this. I've trained. This is what I do, and I'm going to go. Pre-approval is different than the pre-qualification.
Exactly.
Everybody's pre-qualified for something.
Right.
But we're not going to take the time to really dig in and see what your qualification is. We get pre-approvals up front, and you know this. And I think we had a situation. I know I had one, at least 3 other real estate agents, but I know you and I had one to where like you said, you were selling home, one of the clients you had to get over to me. We got them qualified. I know another real estate agent that her daughter was with somebody else, and she called me and said, "We have an issue. I need you to do it right now." I got them closed in 2 weeks.
Right.
They were asking for things that they didn't need. Now again, that's because of my experience. I'm like, we don't need that. We don't need this. We don't need that. And I was able to articulate that. So we got all that stuff off, and we got it closed.
Right.
And so I agree. I think that they don't understand or appreciate the level of knowledge that you have, that I have, and they see the lights of the big guys, whether it's Wells Fargo or
Right. Right.
the America's Bank.
Right. Right. And I think in probably one of the subsequent episodes that we'll have here, we can really dive deeper into, the big lenders versus the broker, because again, I remember working at one real estate brokerage, not my current one, but one of the brokerages, and they had an in-house lender there and whatever. And so I went in because I wanted to understand, like, what kind of clients you work with, what's the FICO score, what's the points and whatever. And he's like, if they don't have a 720 FICO and make a couple $100,000 a year, they're not my client. It's like, okay, well, in my circle, right, I didn't have anybody to refer to them, but at least I know. But people don't understand the difference, and I talk to them all the time about having different overlays, and not every lender's the same. And then the lender and the broker and the options and what someone with your background and your business model can provide to them for guidance and strategy, because if not today, maybe in 3 months, okay? But we can give them a plan. Other people are not that concerned to really invest in them and their long-term strategy. So I'm sure we can probably have to go and do another series and kind of another episode and kind of like dig into that and give some strategies and some more detailed understanding of that.
Now, glad you said that, because that's going to segue, because we went off on a tangent right
Yes,
now.
we did. Yes, we did.
And I was going to ask you the question. My first question is, what's on the agenda for today?
And that wasn't.
And that was not on the agenda for today. But what is on the agenda for today, Dr. Barnes?
Well, for today, we had a couple of things we want to discuss. First, we're going to start off with giving 3 tips to homeowners who were affected by the fires here in Southern California. We know some people lost their homes, some people are just displaced temporarily. They can return to their home after certain things take place. And we know the community's coming together with donations and concerts and different things. But from our personal and professional standpoint, we want to give at least 3 tips, 3 areas for you to think about, and some resources for you. And then we also want to talk about some of the calls we've received and some of the strategies and issues people are having, whether to rebuild or to relocate. And we're going to talk about that in the framework of typical mortgages, paying the mortgage, your mortgage obligation, and rebuilding versus maybe having a strategy to relocate. And then lastly, we'll just mention the recent executive order that Governor Gavin Newsom put in place to expedite rebuilding homes, including accessory dwelling units, and we're going to give you some resources and tips for that as well. So those basic three things that we can talk about today.
All right. So, what's the first question you want to dive into, or the first topic, as to say?
Well, the first topic dealing with the tips and everything. A lot of times we are looking at the insurance company, right? But one of the first things that we're advising homeowners to do is to contact their mortgage company. And believe it or not, a lot of people have not contacted the mortgage company. They feel that, hey, it's on the news. Everybody knows this area, burned down. You can see the pictures. Don't assume that these mortgage companies or the people that you do business with understand that, number one, you were affected personally, that your particular property is now no longer habitable or burnt down to the ground. You need to contact them. When you contact them, we want to see what relief they're offering. Some mortgage companies can suspend, some are reducing your obligation, and we'll let Mr. TR talk more about that. That's more in his wheel. But when you contact the mortgage, see what they're offering, see if the national disaster status, what that avails you of, and make sure that you ask some open questions, because if you don't ask, they don't necessarily volunteer. Okay, so TR, when we're here and we have a mortgage on the property, and that a property no longer exists. Okay, what do suggest, or how does the mortgage company view this, and what tips can you give to a homeowner?
Well, I appreciate that. Truthfully, even though the home doesn't or no longer exist, you still have a mortgage. Okay. And when I look into the camera and I talk to you about these situations, and our hearts go out to everyone who was affected in the fire. Our hearts go out to the families and the all of the lifelong memories that you've lost in this fire. We don't take that lightly. So the tips that I can personally give you, and Dr. Barnes can give you, is one, like she said, contact your mortgage provider. You want to let them know specifically, I've been affected by the home. What are the options that you provide? Are there any resources you can point me in the direction of? They usually have phone numbers, sites that they can literally go and give you help you with this. Okay. Some lenders at this moment, as Dr. Barnes says, are suspending payments for a certain amount of time. I don't know the amount of time. I can't tell you the amount of time, but you got to ask them what theirs are. Some will allow to put the payments on the back end until you get the home up and rebuilt. Okay. Everyone who has a mortgage should have homeowners insurance on the home. We were talking, I think it was a few days ago, and you were asking a specific question even about reverse mortgages.
Yes.
And that question was, if you have a reverse mortgage on the home, what happens when that particular house burns down, is no longer there? And I think I was talking to you about that. But when you have a reverse mortgage, it's an FHA backed loan for one, and you have to have a certain type of insurance on that property that you have to keep on in order to stay compliant with that particular loan. You need to also contact your insurance agent, and you want to find out what's really on my policy, because it should have fire protection. When you contact them, you want to also make sure, and this goes out to people who haven't been affected in the fire. If you have not been affected in the fire, still do the same thing. Contact your insurance agent, and they need to make sure what type of policy, what type of coverage they have. Is it guaranteed replacement cost? So there's three ways. You can have guaranteed replacement cost, which means that it doesn't matter how much it costs to rebuild. It's going to be guaranteed to rebuild that house. Okay, because prices of building homes go up and down. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you have it valued, or your policy at 500,000 for this home, but they also say you have extended replacement costs of up to 25%. Okay, so that's at 500,000. Plus, we're looking at another 120,000, 25,000, somewhere around there. So that means that it goes up to 600 and something thousand. As long as it costs less than that to build, you're good to go. Now, again, if you only have your policy for 400,000, but it costs 500,000 to rebuild, and it's not guaranteed or extended replacement costs, you don't have enough to rebuild that house as is. And that's why you want to make sure that you contact your insurance. If you haven't lost your home, still contact your insurance to ask, do you have guaranteed replacement costs, or do you have replacement costs up to 125% of what is required? And then you need to ask them for what's called a rebuild cost estimator, because you want to know, as of today, how much does it cost to rebuild your home. And you want to make sure that you have enough coverage to cover that. Okay.
So, and that's great information. And a couple things that come to mind is that, hearing the news coverage, a lot of the houses that burnt down or are no longer available were built between 1947 and 1957. Even if you rebuild that house, you're looking at rebuilding the house. That house was not up to current code. There's been so many code changes, fire, setbacks, and everything that they might not even allow the home to be rebuilt with the same footprint that it had when it burned down. Okay, so with all these things coming into play, it's important to look at the insurance limit, but understand that this was declared a national disaster. That there are some revenues that's going to come, and that the mortgage company is going to be working with government agencies to rebuild the community, to give to help the homeowners and families recover in the area. So this is now, as I was explaining to a couple of people that reached out, it's like this is not like you're on the block and your house catch fire and it's just one person. It's just your house, just your insurance company. This is going to be a lot of moving parts. And that's why it's important for you to tap into professionals like myself and like TR, people in the mortgage business, real estate agents. We still have access to things that can help you make informed decisions, help you review contracts, help you look at your insurance policy, review the terms. We'll have some links under this video and on other episodes that you can utilize to get more information. But this thing is going to be a long recovery, and everybody's situation is different. Even though we all may have suffered, that disaster, for your family is different than your neighbor's family. For the loss of life that we've had, the loss of property, just the emotional distress. It's going to take a team to help us recover from this, and we want you to know that we're here to help and to guide, to be an assistance to you whenever possible. As CR said, our hearts go out to you. We don't take this lightly, and we know it's like all hands on deck to help us recover from this.
You know what else, Sharon? When they call their insurance company, most insurance policies has a word, if you're out of the home and it's not livable, that they will have a particular renter kind of clause in there that will help them get temporary shelters for up to 12 months, depending on their policy.
Yeah,
And so most people don't realize they have that in there. And then I will say, I know that a lot of people, as we talked about before, have lost documentations.
yeah.
They've lost their deeds. They've lost these insurance policies. They've lost a lot of different documents that were burnt up in a fire. And again, we recommend that you contact either a real estate or a mortgage professional, because we have resources to help you kind of find those documents again. We can pull property profiles, even title reports to say, okay, because a lot of people don't realize who their mortgage was with. Sometimes they don't even know who their lender is. So we can pull that property profile and say, okay, this is who has this loan right now. And if you can call them to say, hey, I need my documentations on this loan, that'll point you in the right direction. So again, contact a mortgage or a real estate professional to, again, guide you in this right direction during this very, very hard time. Okay?
Yeah. Like that's what we're saying too, is that you're gonna require an advocate. I understand like a lot of the organizations and different people that's helping in the community, they have home advocates. You need an advocate on your side to help you not only get documents but to understand. And we're talking about price gouging for rents and so forth. And even besides that, just normal we had a housing crisis before this crisis. It was a housing shortage. That hasn't changed. The demand went up, especially in the area surrounding where the fires are. And I'm told, I mean, people are looking for houses. They even have the ability to pay. They need housing. The problem is they're trying to stay in the same geographical area where this happened, and that is extremely hard. So, being able to have the mindset that things are temporary, that I'm going to have to be, maybe I have to drive a little further or work from home or work remotely or do what I need to do and head towards the Inland Empire or out a little bit where I can get housing, where I can at least take a deep breath, have a home, have a place for my family until all these moving parts get settled, my home gets rebuilt, I can return to my neighborhood and so forth. In working with investors and people that have been building accessory dwelling units over the last 5, 10 years, one of the things that several of my clients have done would be to house people who were displaced by fire and flood. Um, under the insurance company, like TR was saying, the insurance company would pay for that housing, but they had to come to the Inland Empire, to the desert, or outside their area to have housing until their home was rebuilt. So this is going to be on a massive scale, and unfortunately, I think some people are just we're going to have to really see what's best for our family and probably broaden our circle of travel and where we live, even temporarily, to get through this.
That's great, great information. I think one of the non talked about areas of this fire is that there are going to be some locations that were burned down. There are going to be some homes that were burned down, Sharon, that may not be eligible to be rebuilt because of the land that it's built on.
Mm, that's true.
Remember what we just saw in the news the other day, to where the fire ravaged through, but there were a few homes that were still left standing.
Right.
And one in particular, overnight, slid down the hill because that hill was so unstable because of the water
Right.
and the fire that it slid down and broke in half at the bottom of the hill.
But the home survived the fire, but then 3 days later, he slid down the hill. And that
Absolutely.
reminds me this morning, just watching the news this morning, we're expecting rain in the next couple of days by this weekend. So 2 or 3 days from now, we're expecting rain. And this morning on the news, they showed piles of sandbags in a big group of people filling sandbags for the same areas that we just had the fire in because of mudslides. So even though the homes may have survived the fire, we're anticipating the flood, the land shifts, the unstable ground. Unfortunately, some people may not be able to rebuild anytime soon, and you might be forced to look at relocating. Hopefully, still within California, but we're gonna have to make decisions, and that's just unfortunate. It's like one disaster on top of another, but we just have to be prepared, and you have to know the resources and reach out to qualified professionals that can help you.
And that's another segue right there, because if they're not able to rebuild, if they're not able to go back and say, I want to build my home here, the insurance company will then pay off their mortgage. Let's just say their home was worth, I'm just going to say, the $600,000, and they had a mortgage right now of 200,000. If they cannot rebuild there, the mortgage company will pay off what that house is worth, and they'll pay off the mortgage of that, and the remainder of that they'll have in order for them to go and now reinvest in another place. As a real estate agent, what advice can you give them if they do have to relocate?
If they do have to relocate, and we're talking, let's just say Southern California, because of the area where the fire was, in Los Angeles County, I would definitely consider coming east, probably towards the 210 corridor, coming towards the Inland Empire. There are a lot of building going on out here. We have a lot of new homes being built. We have houses still priced from the 400s up to the 8 or 900 thousands, and even higher. It depends on what you want, but the affordability is here. The transportation corridor is here. If you are able to work remotely, it would definitely be a place where you can, reconsider moving. Some people, I've had some people talk about moving out of state. And even before this disaster, when I talk to people about moving out of state, there's pluses and minuses, pros and cons when you're going to relocate. But a lot of people that are on fixed income do not realize that when they move to out of state, that their income will be reduced. Say Social Security is higher in California and New York than anywhere else in the country. So when you move somewhere, they will adjust your income, most likely lower. The cost of living might be lower, but so will your income. Okay, and then I've had people that lived in Arizona, Texas, Nevada, having to come back to California for medical treatments and to see their doctor every 2 or 3 months because of the health care in the state where they relocated. So relocating, grass sometimes is green on the other side. It's not necessarily so. For some people, if you have family and you can do that, I mean, it might be great, but really take a good deep look at relocating. The further you relocate or leave the state, the more it impacts your income, your health care, your family dynamics. And so, if you want to stay here in Southern California, look east towards the Inland Empire. I think it'd be a great consideration and still affordable.
Great information. I'm gonna look into the camera and say the same thing I tell a lot of my clients when they're just looking to purchase a home. We do not like inconvenience. Okay, we don't. But I tell people all the time, you have to be flexible. A lot of times when people are buying their homes, these are not their forever homes. Most people move at least once. They buy a home, and at least one at a time they're going to move. Okay, it's not like it was 50 years ago. You buy the house and you stay there forever, right? So if you're in a place to where you can afford a house, but you got to go out a little bit, and where you are now, let's say in LA County, Ventura County, you want to be there, but you can't afford that home. You have to be willing to sacrifice short term to get your long term benefit. What does that mean? Like Dr. Barnes says, you may have to come to the Inland Empire, go to the Inland Empire for a few years, 3 to 4 years, let the equity kick back up in your home. It's like paying into a piggy bank. If you're renting for $2,000 a month or $2,500 a month, but you have the opportunity to purchase, let's just say in the IE or somewhere like that where the prices are a little bit lower, and you can put that money into that piggy bank and it also appreciates. It's a win-win situation because let's just say it takes you 3 4 years. Let's just say 4 years to be on the safe side. Your house appreciates. Everything is now calmed down. Once you sell that home, you get all the money you put into it, plus a portion of your mortgage goes to the principal. Excuse me. And on top of that, it appreciates. Now, when you sell it, you get more money than you put into it, and you can take that ball of money and you can go down and put on a home that you want to be back in LA, back in Ventura County, or wherever that may be. And so it's just a kind of a roundabout way to get to the finish line that you want to be. If you take that same $2,500 a month, put it in rent, you can't take that out when you leave and go buy a home. It's gone forever. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's what I wanted them to say, that they will have to be flexible, especially in this market. And I love what you say. If you can work from home or you remotely, please consider that and find a place to stay that fits your budget, but it will also help you in the future with your finances.
And what something that came to mind when you were talking too about paying off the mortgage. So the mortgage is paid off, and that's a contractual obligation for the house. It's paid off. It burned down. It doesn't exist, right? That homeowner still owns that dirt. I think we need to come back at
Mhm.
another episode and talk about the options, because now you've been relieved from the mortgage obligation. It's
Mhm.
been paid off. You have money in hand to relocate, and you still have an asset. Maybe you're not in the same condition it was before,
Mhm.
but if it is still billable and in an area, you can also be able to leverage that, rebuild on it, get some other strategies to leverage that ownership that you
Mhm.
have, because now you're the owner free and clear. That just because the mortgage company paid off the mortgage does not mean they own the property.
Exactly.
And people don't really understand that, because I was having a conversation and they were saying, well, we want to keep the property in the family, so we're going to pay off the mortgage instead of using maybe that money to rebuild. And it's like, no, I would rebuild if I could, if I was in that area. If it's a direct line
Mhm.
between the mortgage company, the National Disaster Relief,
Mhm.
enabling me to rebuild where I am, I would do that. Okay. I would have an asset to leverage. If I had the option to take cash out between the mortgage company and the national disaster, get relief from my mortgage obligation, have a quarter million or more
Mhm.
liquid, I would buy a home in the Inland Empire, move my family there, and then recover and financially get stable to build on that land that I still own there, in a more, back in that
Mhm.
community, to return or for future generation. I mean,
Absolutely.
this disaster could definitely be leveraged in the long run to build generational wealth beyond what families imagined before.
I agree with that. I heard a few different things in your comment, what you just said, and so I want to just kind of go for those two. I highly recommend that if the land itself, you get paid and they pay off the mortgage. Like if you get the money,
Yeah.
you got to pay off the mortgage, right?
Right.
Pay off the mortgage, and you still own the land. If the land is not able to be built at that time, and they still have the financial wherewithal to now go get another home, but they can keep that property, pay the property tax just on the land,
Yes.
and over time that land will recover to where you can go back and rebuild on it, then yes, I would take the time to go get another property, and I would keep that land for whatever it takes. It may take 10 years or 15 years for it to dry out enough. I don't know. But when it does, I will then rebuild on it, like you just said. If a person is in a situation to where, hey, I need all the money I can get, you still may be able to sell that land even after you go get another place and sell the land for what it is. But I wouldn't recommend doing it unless they absolutely had to.
Exactly.
That'd be my recommendation from what I see. But if you had to choose whether you pay off the mortgage or rebuild, if you get the money, the insurance company's going to already rebuild. If they can rebuild on the land, they're not going to pay the mortgage off. They're just going to rebuild the home. And the way it looks like is this, if that home was, let's say, built in 1950,
Yes.
when they rebuild that home, you still have the mortgage from the old home, whatever it is, right? But your property now, once they rebuild it, it's new.
Right.
It's gonna be far more valuable now than it was before it burnt down. Before it burnt down, it may have been
Exactly.
worth, let's say it was worth 500,000, but after this new build in that area, it's gonna be worth way more.
Exactly.
And I know those homes are worth more than that. I'm just trying to give you an example.
Right.
But when you rebuild the home today, if you ever rebuild on that lot, the mortgage you had still stands. However, your property now is way more valuable, more efficient.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can do a lot of things with it. You can either now refinance that and you have way more leverage in it as far as loan to value on it.
Right.
If you needed to, you can also bring out a little bit more and go buy some investment property. Or, as you say, maybe now you can take out a little bit of money and build an ADU, and now you have income property on the same property as you. There's a lot of things you can do, as you said. I know this is a tragedy, but if you take the time, get through this tragedy, you have a lot of opportunities to, as you said, build financial wealth for your future generations.
Exactly. And as we say, a lot of times when you're going through a tragedy or very highly emotional
Mm-hmm.
times, you really, the advice is don't make any major decisions. In this situation, you can't help but
But
make
make
major decisions because it's dealing with the health, safety, security of you and your family. But what we're trying to really get across today is that you have options and there are professionals and qualified people in the community that are here to work with you to use their skills, their resources to help you make the best decision you can under your circumstances.
absolutely. I will say this: reach out, utilize your resources. Don't make emotional decisions at the moment. Take a step back, and I know it's hard, but you have to use good old fashioned common sense and rationality. And if you can't do that, find people around you that will. Find a team of people. Dr. Sharon Barnes is one of them. I may be another. If you're located in Southern California, please reach out. Allow us to help you and at least point you in the right direction. Give you some counsel on how to navigate these things. Now, I don't know everything, and neither does she, but we know people, and they may know the answer for you. But reach out. Anything else you want to say before we close this particular episode out?
Well, I just will say with the calls that I have received, this has been my honor to work and to help these families that are dealing with so much. And that's the passion why we wanted to do this type of episode to talk to many more because we know that that's what these families are dealing with is not unique to them. I mean, we're dealing with people now who have dealt with this disaster and they're not they don't have the computer skills because if you look at the news, if you look at the resources, they say scan this code, go to this website. When you're 80 or 90 years old in those homes and everything, you need family to help you. You need people to help you, and we're here. It's going to take a village. And I just want you to know that there is a village out there. Don't let the fact that you can't, pay people right now where people are donating clothes and foods and doing concerts. Others are looking at contracts, referring you to the right resources, or helping you get on the computer to get the information you need to recover. So there is a village out here for you.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to say this. This was a very interesting first show. And I'm looking forward to growing this channel to really talk about things that will help people, whether it's things like this natural disaster, whether it's training people in the ways of entrepreneurship, where we're talking about business development, where we're talking about community outreach and how we can help in certain situations and what information they need. I truly appreciate you doing this with me.
Yeah, I think together, I mean, we really have a lot of resources when we have a compassion to help others,
Mm.
and I think this is very much needed. Just like the things we talked about today,
Mm.
it's like several of those areas we can start doing a deep dive. It's like you can't do everything at
Everything at
once.
once.
And again, this is going to be for this particular situation, it's a long haul. And the
Exactly.
things that we learn in this disaster is also a benefit for people just to be ready in life for things that might happen. And so it's not just for people that are, dealing with things today, but to bring knowledge, resources, and incitement to other people
You're right.
in the future.
You're right. I tell you what, there are going to be a lot of people going to be reaching out to you. So why don't you look in the camera and tell them where they can find you?
Well, I think the best place to find me, you can find me at SharonBarnesRealEstate.com. And there, because I deal a lot with real estate and the real estate overlaps into other areas, we're going to have resource pages. We're going to have resources that you can tap into, and you will be able to contact me and get more information and on your particular area. I think the website is the best place to go right now.
Awesome. And let me just say this. Dr. Sharon Barnes is a treasure trove of knowledge. I highly recommend if you are in the market right now. We're talking about the wildfires, but let's just say if you're in the market for a new home. She is an excellent, excellent realtor. Okay. The things that I've seen this woman do on that side of the equation is bar stop from being miraculous. Okay. She's very good at what she does. All right. Now, with that also being said, I'm TR McCarthy. I'm TR the loan guy. I am the mortgage broker for Scepter Mortgage. You can reach me at either TRtheLoanGuy.com or ScepterMortgage.com. From there, you'll be able to see videos of different programs. You'll be able to make an appointment to talk to me. We have different things that you can also go to YouTube and see at YouTube/at TR the Loan Guy. And that's that. If like I said, if you're in California at all, and you're looking to purchase or refinance, build an ADU, you're self-employed, you're looking for commercial property, please give me a call. Either myself or one of my knowledgeable loan officers will be able to walk you through the process of getting the property that you need.
And we're going to ask them to subscribe, and we're going to have links underneath this
Absolutely.
for various things. So we will be building on this, so they can have links and subscribe and get notified when we come back to talk about more important issues.
Absolutely. As she said, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Leave a like in the comment below and like the video. It goes a long way to appease the YouTube god of algorithms to get us out there to more people. But thank you so much. And again, thank you for stopping by for Straight Talk.
See you next time.
See you next time.